Welcome to Semester 2 for Math 3. All right. Our first unit, we're going to start off with doing a little bit of a review. All right. Although it is a review, it is an important piece of this unit and units coming up. So hopefully we do well with this because it's something that we did in first semester. All right. What it is factoring. So we're going to do a bunch of different factoring type of problems. We're going to add some new stuff that we haven't seen before, but that's going to be more on day 2 of factoring. First day, what we're going to do, spending with factoring, we're going to do basic factoring, which I called 5 steps to factoring if you're with me from first semester. There's also advanced factoring. We're going to show you 2 different types. We're going to do the same problems but 2 different ways. I don't really care which way you pick. So we have advanced factoring using grouping, and we have advanced factoring using the bottoms-up method. So we're going to show you the same problems with the different methods so you can show you how they end up so it's not like complete like, wait, what? All right, so let's get started. For basic factoring, I called it 5 steps to factoring in first semester, like I said. What you're trying to do is find out 2 numbers that multiply to be the last number, in this case 8, and that add up to be the middle number, in this case -6. Okay, so I've developed 5 steps that you can use to solve these without thinking too hard. Okay, it breaks down step by step. So our first step, very simply, is draw your parentheses and put an X in the front of each one. Step 2, drop the first sign. And the first sign we're saying is either positive or negative. So we have a -6 in our problem. It's the first sign we see. So we're going to drop that into the first set of parentheses. Step 3, what times a negative in our first set of parentheses gives us a positive 8? Well, a negative times a negative is a positive. So we put a negative in the second set of parentheses. Step 4, we find the factors of 8. So there's only 2 factors. There's 1 times 8. There's 2 times 4. Now, if the signs in your parentheses are the same, you're going to add your factors together. If the signs in your parentheses are different, you're going to subtract them. Since the signs are both negatives, you're going to add the factors. What 2 factors give you 6? Well, it's 2 and 4. Step 5, when you have your factors, you put the bigger number first. So we put 4 in front, 2 in back. And there we've just factored our quadratic expression. Let's try that again at number 2. We want to find 2 numbers that multiply to give you -24 and add up to give you -10. So we use the 5 steps to factoring. Step 1, again, put X and X in the beginning of our 2 sets of parentheses. Step 2, drop the first sign, which is a minus on the 10. Step 3, what times a negative gives you a -24? That would be a positive number. Step 4, the factors of 24. We have 1 times 24. 2 times 12, 3 times 8, and then 6 times 4. Now again, if your signs in your parentheses are the same, you add. If they're different, you subtract. Well, we have a negative and a positive in our parentheses, which means we're going to subtract. Well, 24 and 1 won't give you 10 if you subtract them. 10 and 2 will, 12 and 2 will. 12 minus 2 is 10. Now, a lot of people might be thinking, well, 6 and 4 is also 10. Well, not if you're subtracting, only if you're adding. And we have 2 different signs, which means we have to subtract. So the only thing that will work is 2 times 12. In step 5, put the bigger number first. Now, if you find if you don't need to use these 5 steps and you just know what the numbers are, write them down. Okay, what I'd like you to do next is pause this video, try 3 and 4 in the notes, and then come back and unpause the video and see how you did. Okay, so pause the video now and try those problems. All right, so hopefully you're back, you're ready to go, and you can see what we did. I'm going to go a little bit faster through these because you should have already tried them. So step 1, the X and the X. Step 2, drop the first sign. Step 3, what times a positive gives you a positive? That's a positive. Step 4 is the factors of 6. There's 6 and 1, and 2 times 3. Since the signs are the same, make it 6 and 1. Here, we have X, Drop the first sign as a plus. What times a positive gives you a negative? That's a negative. All right, factors of 45, that'll give you 4. I have 9 times 5. I have 1 times 45. I have 3 times 15. That looks like about it. Okay, if I want to get 4, when I subtract them, I can use 9 and 5. And that is it. So I've done basic factoring. All right, so hopefully you were successful on those two on your own. Let's look at the next group of 4. So now we have advanced factoring. And the reason what defines these versus the ones we just did is you'll see in 1 through 4, every time we had something that was x squared, it was always a 1 in front of it, so you didn't have to write a number there. For 5 through 8, we always have a number in front of the x squared term. So this is causing problems. You can't do the basic 5 steps to factoring like we did the first 4 for the next 4. So we have some choices. We could do advanced factoring by grouping, so we're going to show you that first. Then we're going to do the next 4 problems by bottoms-up method. So it's a different method for the same problems. So factor by grouping. What you do is you take the first number and then the last term and multiply them together to give you negative 60. Now with this, you have to find 2 factors that multiply to give you negative 60 and add up to give you negative 11. All right, those 2 factors would be, let's see, I haven't done these before, so let's figure out what we got. Perfect. That was going to give you negative 15 and positive 4. So negative 15 times 4 is negative 60, and negative 15 plus 4 is negative 11. So now what we're going to do with these 2 factors is replace our negative 11x with those 2 numbers. We're going to write it out. Your 10x squared minus 15x plus 4x minus 6. Now some people might be asking, can I reverse the 4 and the negative 15? Does it make a difference which way it goes? It does not. The problem will look different, but you'll end up with the same answer as you did despite no matter which way you do it. Okay? So now what we're doing is, since it's called grouping, we're going to group the first 2 terms and the last 2 terms together. All right, now that they're grouped, we're going to take out the greatest common factor out of each set of parentheses. The greatest common factor is the biggest piece that you can take out of the terms at the same time. So 10 and 15 both share a 5, and x squared and x both share an x. We're going to take out a 5x out of the first set of parentheses, which will leave us with 2x minus 3. And out of 4x minus 6, you can take out a 2, which will leave us with 2x minus 3. Now, when you're doing factor by grouping, this is an important step because you should see the same thing in the 2 sets of parentheses. Okay, if they're not the same thing in the parentheses that are left over after you've taken out the greatest common factor, you've done something wrong. Okay, now that we can see that they are the same and we're on the right track, we're going to take the parts that were taken out, the greatest common factor pieces, and put them together so we have 5x plus 2. We're going to take the 2 sets of parentheses and we're going to just meld them as one. So you have 2x minus 3. And that is factor by grouping. We are done. Okay, let's see that again for number 6. We're going to do 6 times 35 to give us 210. So we multiplied 6 and 35 together to give us 210. That's a big number. That's okay. We have a calculator. So I'm going to find out what are the factors of 210 that will add up to be 29. Now, I don't know. I've never done these problems, so you're in the same boat as I am. So let's try some stuff out. I put 210 in my calculator. Let's divide it by 2 and see what we get. We get 105. Well, that's too big. So let's do 210 divided by 5. Let's see what we get. That's 42. It's still too big. What about 210 divided by 10? That's 21. It's still not going to give us 29. But that did give me a hint. So 21 has a 7 in it. So let's do 210 divided by 7. That's 30. All right, so 30 has got a 5 and a 3. 210 divided by 15. 15 and 14. There we go. So 15 and 14. Okay, the reason how I got that is I knew 5 was too small and 3 was too small, but they would both be factors because 21 has a 3 in it, and I already know it's divisible by 5, so I just multiplied 5 and 3 and got 15. I tried it out. I got 14. I know 15 and 14 added together gives you 29. Okay, so now we're going to replace the 29x with 15x and 14x. So I have 6x squared plus 15x plus 14x plus 35. Okay. I grouped them, so I have the first two and the last two. Now I figure out what I can take out of each set of parentheses. So 6 and 15 both share a 3. X squared and x have an x. So I'm going to be left with 2x plus 5. Now 14 and 35, they both share a 7. I'm going to take a 7 out. I'll be left with 2x plus 5. Now again, notice these two sets of parentheses are the same, which means I'm on the right track. I'm doing fine. Last step is I take the 3x and the 7, put them together, and I rewrite the 2x plus 5. And I am done. All right. So what I'd like you to do, just like we did in the first set of 4, I've shown you 2 examples. This is, again, review. Please try 7 and 8 on your own, see what you come up with, and then we'll check back and see how you did. So pause the video, try those 2 out, and come back. All right, so hopefully you've paused the video, tried 7 and 8, and now you're back to see how you did. Let's show you. Again, we're going to go through these a little bit faster, hopefully. So 7 times 9 is just 63. I need to find 2 factors of 63 that add up to 64. Well, that's pretty easy. 63 and 1. So I have 7x squared. I'm going to switch it around just so you can see that it doesn't make a difference the order I put them in. Plus 1x plus 63x plus 9. I group the first 2 and the last 2. There we go. All right, out of the first 2 numbers, 7 and 1 don't share anything in common, but x squared and x share an x. So I'm left with 7x plus 1. Out of 63 and 9, I can take out a 9. I'm left with 7x plus 1. Again, my 2 sets of parentheses are the same, so I know I'm on the right track. I do x plus 9 and 7x plus 1. All right. Number 8. 3 times 32 is going to give me 96. 2 numbers are multiplied to be 96 that add up to 4. Actually, it's negative 96. My apologies. Let's try to figure out what we got in here. 96 divided by 12. Let's try that. Yep. So 12 and 8 make up 96. And I've got to make it positive 12, positive 4. So I'm going to have positive 12 times negative 8 gives you negative 96. And positive 12 minus 8 gives you positive 4. Okay, so we're going to have 3x squared plus 12x minus 8x minus 32. So I group the first 2 and the last 2. 3 and 12 both share a 3. X squared and x share an x. I'm left with x plus 4. Negative 8 and negative 32 both have a negative 8 in them. So I have x plus 4 again. Notice, if I didn't take out the negative with the 8, I'd have negative x minus 4, and then the 2 sets of parentheses would not match, and that would be a problem. Now that I did take a negative out with the 8, these 2 do match, and I'm good to go. So I have 3x and minus 8 as one set of parentheses, and x plus 4 is the other set. I'm done. Now, factor by grouping is technically a little more complicated than the bottoms-up method, but the grouping part is very important because when we get to the next day of factoring, which is going to be on Friday, we're going to actually show you a factor by grouping that has to be done by grouping because of the way it's set up. But that's on Friday, so let's not worry about that right now. Okay, now, I've included the next 4 problems to be just like the other ones, so you can see that the answers are the same, but how we get there is going to be different. Okay, so bottoms-up method. It starts the same way as the group factor by grouping, where you multiply 10 times negative 6, gives you negative 60. And then what you want to do is find the factors of this. All right, just like we did at the top. I'm going to cheat and go up to the top and see what I had. I get negative 15 and positive 4. Here's where it differs a little bit. What we're going to do is we're going to make these fractions, and the denominator of our fractions is going to be the first term in our problem. It'll be 10. Okay, and now what I'm going to do, I'm going to erase that 0 because it looks like a 6. There we go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce these fractions. I have negative 15 over 10. If I reduce that by 5, I got negative 3 over 2. And then 4 over 10, if I reduce that by 2, I get 2 over 5. Okay, so all I did is reduce the fractions. I'm going to put an x on the bottom with our denominator for both fractions, and that becomes the first term when the bottom comes up. So I have 2x minus 3, and I have 5x plus 2. Okay, that is my answer for the bottoms up method. If you'll notice, when we go and look at number 5, I have 5x plus 2 and 2x minus 3. These two things are the same. They might be written in a different order, but that's fine. It's just I put one fraction or one factor first versus the other. That doesn't really make a difference. The factors are the same. Okay. Now, some people like the bottoms up method because it goes a little bit quicker. It is a little bit faster. It might seem a little bit easier. Let's show you number 10. So we have 6 times 35, which gives us 210 again. All right. If I recall correctly, we had, and I don't remember. Let's go back up. 15 and 14. Okay, so we have 15 and 14 as our factors. We're going to take our first term of 6 and make that our denominator. Okay, so we took this number 6 and made it the denominator of our fractions. Now we can reduce the fractions. 15 over 6, they both share a 3. If I take a 3 out of both, I get 5 over 2. Out of 14 and 6, they both share a 2. I would get 7 over 6. Or sorry, 7 over 3. My apologies. So that's the reduced fractions. I put an x in the denominators. I move those to the top. Become our first term in our each fraction, or factor. So we have 2x plus 5. And 3x plus 7. All right. Again, if we go back up to the top, we can see we have 3x plus 7 and 2x plus 5, both the same thing. All right, so again, I know we've already solved these quadratic factoring problems from the factor by grouping, but try them using the bottoms up method just so you get some practice. Pause the video, try the 2 problems, and then come back and see how you did them. All right, so hopefully you're back. Let's try these as a bottoms up method. So 7 times 9 is going to be 63. Remember that they are 63 and 1. We make our fraction of 7 as our denominator for both numbers. Reduce the fraction. So 63 over 7 is 9 over 1. And 1 over 7 can't be reduced. So we put an x in the bottoms. Bring those to the top. So we have x plus 9 and 7x plus 1. All right. And then lastly, 3 times negative 32, which gives us 96. And that was going to be positive 12 and negative 8. Those are our numerators. Our denominators will be 3 and 3. All right, 12 over 3 is 4 over 1. And 3 over negative 8 over 3 can't be reduced, so we leave it just the way it is. X's in the bottoms, make those go to the top. So we have x plus 4, and we have 3x minus 8. All right, so those are the different types of factorings you might see or might be able to use. Again, I don't care which one you pick if you're doing an advanced factoring type of problem. If you use the grouping method or the bottoms up method, whatever one works best for you is what I want you to choose. All right, a lot of students last semester seemed to like the bottoms up method because it seems to be a little bit quicker. So if that's the way you like it, then go ahead and use it. Okay, please try the practice problems, and then we can go through any questions you have on those at a later date. All right, which should be tomorrow. All right, good luck, and make sure if you have questions that you ask.